everyone, and welcome to Zest to Zen with me, Shel Marie, the podcast that takes you on a journey from the hustle to the harmony, fueling your passion while finding your peace. Today, it is not only a privilege, but a deep honor to welcome a woman whose presence is as powerful as her accomplishments. And now, we will talk about this a little bit more later, she is also a doctor. So we have Dr. Miskyah Toth. She is the owner and CEO of Business Directive Contract Services, BDCS, and I know she has some of her incredible employees here today watching live, as well as the author of Iron in Silk, which we will go into more about because I love the message behind why she picked that title. And the title is not only poetically captures the balance of fierce strength, but also graceful resilience, which she truly embodies. Under her visionary leadership at BDCS, she has become a force to reckon with in logistics and supply chain outsourcing. But what truly sets her apart isn't just what she's built, it's how she leads. And this is so important as a leader. With purpose, with integrity, and with heart. Just from knowing her and connecting with her over the course of these few weeks, preparing for this incredible day, I can see all these qualities so strongly. She's been recognized globally for her brilliance, named CIO Times Woman of the Year this year, one of the top 100 influential women again of this year, a female entrepreneur, coach of the year, and the top global business leader of the year. Please take note of this. She is an incredible powerhouse, but with such a gentle, loving heart. But yet these titles only tell part of her story. Behind those honors is a woman who has walked through fire with grace, built vision, and led with soul. Through her platforms like Let's Talk Business and Women for Change, she's not just shifting industries, she's elevating lives. She's creating spaces where women, and I'm sure not just women, but also men, feel seen, heard, and empowered to rise. And this week, as I said, but I really want to honor her and the incredible accomplishment she's achieved. She has now received her doctorate, a recognition not only of her academic excellence, but her lifelong commitment to growth, transformation, and tangible difference in the world. So today, we don't just celebrate her success, but we honor her story, her strength, and the heart behind it all. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome you. Welcome to the Zest to Zen podcast.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be with you today. I really, really appreciate it. And also thank you for that beautiful intro. You said it in such stunning words.
You are so welcome. And honestly, I know I say this a lot and it sounds like I repeat, but because I'm speaking to such incredible, influential leaders such as yourself, it doesn't even, I know that you give gratitude, but it doesn't even cover even a snippet of what you've done, because we can, have our bio, which is incredible. But the reason why I'm so passionate about this podcast is because sometimes the impact is so transformational, but it's that incredible essence of the leader, the woman behind the titles, behind the certificates, behind all that you've achieved, which is a massive part of you. But there's something more, there's a gem to the leader, because we don't just receive this for no reason. So with that in mind, and I am going to be present and pretend I don't know, because I've already heard this incredible story. But why iron? Why did you pick iron as the metal for iron for your book, Iron on Silk? Why iron?
People, especially when we're talking about success and business world and money, we associate that very much with diamonds and gold. But through the years of preparation, people see the successful side because that is the side that's always far more celebrated than the one when we were struggling and when it wasn't going so well.
Yes.
The story of a single mother raising two children and the business not flowing as much as it is right now,
Mm.
where the greatest lessons were learned. And while I was going through an exceptionally difficult time, I, r- I remember it like yesterday when I was just, when you reach that point where you just wonder how long do you have to face
Mm.
battle after battle. And I
Yes.
felt something in going almost like in my stomach, like lead. And I felt it
Mm.
in my emotions that was all over the show at some point.
Yeah.
Went in to that calm place. And I
Mm.
realized that when when we truly want to be successful, there is the iron that came out. That was the strength that was developed inside of me. Because we can only go as far and take other people as far as we are willing to build our own capacity. And iron is very strong. Iron is used for different things. Iron is used for jail to keep people in, maybe. It's also used to keep people out for gates, for
Yeah.
so once we can actually discipline ourselves and come to a place to say, what, stop asking why. Stop asking why did that person do it? What about that? But get to the point to understand that we have the absolute ability in ourselves to become that iron, to become that
Yeah.
strength, to make a decision to say, you know, that's not going to be me. And
Yeah.
it's like your soul goes into iron. You do not have or entertain the possibility
Mm.
not making it because, yeah, I have two children. And how is it possible for a mother of two to say, the troubles have become too much, I cannot do this for you? And looking back today, when I've got so many employees and thousands of people now looking up, I'm so grateful because the iron inside of me was developed in my mind and in my soul.
Mm.
Strength was developed. And I tell people, go for the iron and not the gold, because the
Yeah.
moment you've got the iron, the gold will follow.
Yes. Yes.
Because you're
Oh.
strong enough to go and fetch it. And when you have it, it takes so much, it's to manage something huge and funds, especially money, you have to be extremely strong at many, many times
Mm.
because it brings its own responsibilities. So yes, that's where the iron came in.
Mm.
Well, I titled my book Iron, and then in the silk, obviously.
Yes, of course, darling. Absolutely. It's all about balance, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um, and the word that really screams out to me when you said lots of words, but one word that really, really screamed out to me was tolerance.
Yeah.
Because I love that there comes a point where, and it's not in a reactive, bitter or raging way, but there's just a time where I felt like please correct me if I say this wrong, but I feel like you just come to a point where you just say enough. Enough
Yeah.
is enough, and not in a
Yeah.
like poor me, but in a strength, in a
Yeah.
strong, and
Right.
more than physically. This is one thing I've really realized, which I love that you addressed. We can build our vessel, our body, okay? But which I love about when you said everything else will follow, the silk, the gold will follow. When this is so
Yes.
strong, you don't need to
Right.
worry about this because this gets up and it gets on with it. Because
Yeah.
this is the captain of the vessel. This is the leader. This.
Yes.
Because without this, what's the point? And the mindset needs to be so strong, and that's what I hear in your story. So empowering, So with that in mind, as I find you so inspiring and empowering, and so I can imagine like just having this connection with you now, but as we know, it's kind of a pyramid effect, because what you embody and what you are is naturally going to ripple down into your business because it's your business. So with that in mind, and you being so much strength and resilience and empowerment, what opportunities, or how do you filter that down into your business?
I think first of all, the old saying of setting an example is far better than just to talk. When we do what we say, it is so powerful. So for me, it's important that whoever is in the company, whoever sees what I'm doing, will see this is Miskyah, this is who she is.
Yes.
Thank goodness for all the accolades. It's wonderful. But we have a magazine that we make sure people get acknowledged for what they're doing. So actually, for many years, they appear in our magazine, and we tell them it's good. What you do is good. There are coming times that we need to choose between this thing is going to be good for me or bad. And if something is bad, don't do it. So when we speak to our staff and when I look at some of the leadership I've got, I'm so grateful for that, because when we're passionate about what we do, and when a staff member can see it, Shel Marie, when we go through difficult times, I don't have to tell anybody, but everybody goes through it where we feel, I actually just want to give up. I'm just physically, you've got to stop this thing of going to that place of saying, you know what, really, this is a lot. But if we can just, by keeping on being the same, our staff sees it. When the staff can think good about who they are and understand that you don't have to stand back. Strength doesn't have to come with gold. So many people disqualify themselves because they may not have much, or that is not where it comes from. It comes from that person. And if I can live that example, and then receiving the accolades, sometimes you feel it's all going over social media. Thank goodness, there's people celebrating you. But I can assure you that for many, many years, I've never been celebrated. And even now that I'm celebrated, you also don't get celebrated by everybody. You have to understand that a mark of a true leader is to keep this.
Thank you.
Place. That's it. You need to understand who you are, where you're on your way to, and even if it goes a little bit off course or whatever, we get back tomorrow. We have all these good intentions, and then something happens, and we decide, tomorrow you've got to get back onto it.
Thank you so much, because that was the two things that I really heard from your incredible sharing. Was the first one is tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow is another day. And I know sometimes, yes, in a business, there are things we need to, like even last minute, just as an example, so people really hear tangible, real life examples. I'm doing this empowerment challenge and I'm about to go to bed, and then I'm like, I didn't set it for tomorrow. No, now, I made a commitment to myself. I follow through because that's my commitment to myself. Okay, I could have said, tomorrow's another day. Yes, but there are some things that we need to honor for ourselves, which I love that you said, because it's okay having people clappers, but at the end of the day, it means nothing without impact, without you truly believing in what you're doing. It doesn't matter what other people think, because at the end of the day, people are always going to have views. But it's like, if you are in your integrity, you are in alignment with what you believe is the right thing for you and what you are infusing into the world, what what does it matter?
Exactly.
Because this is why, as well, I have so many different people on this podcast. And it's not that, oh, I picked this person because I agree with this person. It doesn't matter about what I think. It's the fact that we are all different. We are all making our own movement, our own impact in this world in our own way. Whether I believe in what they said or I don't believe, I have my views. I'm not here to judge people. I'm here to hear their story and for us to know that there are different people doing different things in different ways, and that's okay.
Yes, it's good. It's actually very good.
Yeah. And so just to, because I feel like you touched on it, but this was something that came up actually very recently when, thank you, you gave me the honor of writing something in your incredible magazine that you publish each month, which I feel very privileged about. That was the first thing I noticed, like, wow, that opportunity that you give your employees, or, you know, to have a voice, to feel seen and to feel heard. And it may not seem like a big thing, but it's massive. It's an absolute massive thing because, one, it takes time and love and dedication and devotion. And two, you are recognizing them not as a number, because I know that, and I'm definitely not saying that for you, but as someone that is in your business, in your community, in your organization, whatever word we want to use, because you value them. And I think we often sometimes get lost in the force. Okay, I know something a little bit about this person, so I'm going to use that as leverage. This is not, you know, it's a business, but this is not nice. And and that's why I feel like you have these people wanting to work for you, I feel, because when you have someone, and don't get me wrong, we also, there's empathy and there's sympathy. There's, you know, there's different ways. It's not allowing anything and tolerating anything. This is your baby. This is your business. This is what you have birthed. But there is also a way of this, I feel like, old way of forcing, pushing, and taking. And it's like, okay, you can get the results, but actually energy is felt for me, and that will be felt in your business. There's just something, even when people look smart and you walk into a restaurant, you feel the culture of that restaurant. You feel the you can just feel whether the employees are happy or not. You don't know what it is, but you're just like, I don't know, like whether you feel at home or whether you feel like, oh, I have to, like, oh, don't spill anything. Even though you're the guest in that restaurant, you feel the culture of the place. And so I really feel that in these really beautiful things you are infusing into your business, no wonder people want to come and work for you, because it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And I saw it, and this is, by the way, this is not like a couple of pages. This is a full-on magazine, can I just put out there, which you're all going to see because I will be putting it on my page. You're incredible. You're absolutely incredible. So yeah, with that sorry.
I just want to give credit to my team because they're doing a fantastic job.
Yes.
And, you know, shout out to BDCS for what they're doing. And the tribe, we are a tribe. You know, there is no way that we can do it on our own. And I do think sometimes, you know, when we talked about the iron, and before we get into the iron phase, is that vulnerability, because all of us have it. You know, even for me to write my book, it was so difficult because you become vulnerable when you tell your story. But what is so important is that we understand the power that lies within that, and this tribe coming together with one another. So when I may feel, oops, what now? Then one of my leaders, I've got it, man, he's going. And this book came, and it's not, yes, obviously, because it's been my dream, and I've been fighting for that, because I feel people need to understand their value. We can educate
Yeah.
through a magazine. But I have to give credit to the tribe and to the people working for us. There's no way that I
Mm,
could do that on my own. I am very grateful to be a leader. And sometimes with the iron, I'm a strong leader, and not all everybody likes that. But
no,
people don't understand that if a leader is not strong, I am letting down the rest of my tribe. So
exactly.
one person might not be happy with what I'm doing, but I can, if you put that into a scale,
Yeah.
what's going to come first? The rest of everybody. So thank you about that for our tribe magazine. But I really have to give a shout out, not just for the media
Yes.
department, but for every single individual in our company is just phenomenal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And even in the word that you use, tribe, that shows a lot about you. Um, yeah, that's really beautiful. And I think that's why when I was describing earlier, I don't know why, because I just feel into it. And even saying the word employee, which is the label, I knew that that didn't feel right saying that word. So I really love that you said that, because I actually wanted to use a word like that. But at the end of the day, I want you to speak your truth and your words. And so I love that it naturally, organically came out anyway, because I feel that about you, that it's like a family, it's a big family. So that's beautiful. And just to touch on what you said about the kind of tough love, let's just call it that, yeah. I just want to, and I would love you to add to this, but I found my greatest teachers to get that fuel and that fire and to transmute it into something powerful and
Mm.
impactful. Yes, we can be soft. We can be, empathetic. We can have those days where we know someone just needs a little nurturing, which is beautiful quality to have as a female. But also, as a leader, which I love that you brought up, we need that fuel. We need that fuel in the right way. Not like what we said, in a forcing way and a taking in order to manipulate to get what you want. No. In a way that the reason why usually someone disagrees or something, I feel, not always, is because there's something in them that is in misalignment, but they're still in that organization for a reason. And there's a gem in that they need to transmute. They need to really, like, maybe getting that feedback, and it's like, oh, it hurts. But you know what? You have that moment, you have that little kind of inner child moment, and then I guarantee you, to prove it, there's something in us that wants to then earn it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, these, tiptoeing around, and I had so much tough love growing up. Does that mean I go around now and I'm a horrible person? No. But
Yeah.
I also know that they were my greatest teachers, and they are the ones that now, when I think back at the time, of course not when I was a little bit more wounded and less conscious, but now I see that they played such a crucial role in my life and in my development, and the skills that I have now developed in order to stand straighter, to speak stronger, and to know my worth and me. Because yeah, if I'm getting feedback and I'm not stepping up, and this is not a one-off, I want to up level. So
Yeah.
yeah, in those moments, I just want to say,
Yeah.
when something comes to you like that, try to see the blessing in it, because
Yeah.
everything is a lesson and a blessing anyway. And
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 also,
yeah,
sorry, no, no,
no,
no,
no, no,
I'm.
please, 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 yeah.
When we look at clients, some of my best teachers ever were difficult clients. I'm not saying clients should be difficult if anybody is watching. I'm not asking for difficult clients.
No,
But,
yeah,
when somebody knows exactly what they want. So I find people take offense very easily today. And I feel that is holding us back from growing. Because if I would
mm,
just be silent and listen what my client doesn't want, Or what is the true complaint? Because they
Mm,
wouldn't have done it unless I'm doing something wrong. So I
exactly.
tell my staff, listen, be very patient and listen, because by listening, we can become better. So
Yes,
who
yes.
would not want that? I mean, really, it's
Mm,
there's such a blind spot in many
yes,
lives.
yes.
You can do it in our own lives when people criticize, tend to feel, I'm also, how dare you? But the fact of the matter is that if somebody does say something, we
Mm,
should actually learn again to discipline our minds. To say, you know what, perhaps I should just listen if there's not a part of me that could become better. And we
mm,
don't take offense. And I think if we could do that, we'll grow faster. We'll go
absolutely.
forward instead
Yeah.
of seeing everything as a criticism.
Mm,
Why would somebody tell you, listen, this is not right? Because it's
exactly.
not right. So
Exactly.
the next thing is you change it and you come right. And that means the rest of my clients are going to benefit from that. And if I don't have an answer, then we design. That's why we're so strong on the IT side. That's why we develop IT products so that we
Mm,
can make life better for our clients. It's
yeah.
For me, that's just a no-brainer. That is what
Yes,
we should do,
yes.
isn't it? Nah, yeah.
But that's the thing, that is the nugget, the gem, because if in someone expressing that to you, they're actually up leveling you because they're
Yeah,
actually showing you something that you need to infuse into your business. Whether they're
exactly.
having a moment, like there's discernment, of course, there's discernment, but generally, when you're hearing that, this is a great opportunity because who wants a business that's just going to, it doesn't do that anyway, but just stagnate? Oh, and everything's so perfect and lovely, and where's the growth? We want,
Yeah,
you want
yeah.
that transformation. And so just to go back, because I feel like we kind of skimmed over this a little bit to the start of what you said. I just want to think about maybe, and it doesn't have to be a mother, it could just be someone right now who has their business idea, who is believing in their business, and they're not really externally maybe seeing signs of growth, or they're thinking about giving up, or whatever. Just intuitively, what message would you give them right now?
I think the very first thing is to make sure that you're in the right place. Make sure that the business you have is where you should be, number one. Number two, the business must speak to a demand or a need. Some people have a business and there is just simply no demand for that business, and then they might
Mm,
feel that they're doing something wrong. But the issue is, if something is not in demand, you're not going to make money.
yeah.
So it's also important for people in business to understand that if your demand is growing less, what else can you do? There
Mm,
is another thing that's vital that I found, earlier years, I did a lot of business consulting. I don't have time now, but when people don't do things right, uh,
mm,
if the business is not managed correctly, the governance is not in place,
mm,
we cannot expect to be successful, because it's like the one thing, it may feel so trivial because we
mm,
focus on, I've got to get more sales done, or, we focus on that side instead of having an understanding that a business is like a body.
yes.
You may not focus on the feet because the feet is not what you see.
Yes,
But
yeah.
if the feet
I
has
love
a
that.
problem, if the feet has a problem, it cannot carry the body. So maybe
Yes.
the accounting side is not in place. Maybe there's no governance. Maybe perhaps people are just not doing what they're supposed to do. And I've
Mm,
learned that stops growth. So there
yeah.
could be a specific practical reason, and then, but there might also just be a reason where somebody, it's normal. We
Mm,
go through cycles, we go through
yes.
seasons, we go through times when it's going to be dry.
Mm.
There are 4 seasons in a year. You get,
I
so
love
just
that. Yes, no, beautiful. Yes.
4 seasons. I mean, have we ever had a year without 4 seasons anywhere in the world? It doesn't happen. And some people may feel that if if we face a difficult time, like a winter season where things die,
Mm,
and you think to yourself, one is, I've worked so hard for this. We cannot underestimate the power of what we've already put in, because
yeah.
growth is taking place somewhere. So patience is exceptionally important. And then
Mm,
a key aspect of business is consistency. So
yeah.
whether there's growth or whether there isn't growth, pitch up day, every day show up,
Mm,
consistently keep on doing what you're doing,
yeah.
because you may see absolutely nothing, but you've got to believe that what you're busy doing makes an impact.
Yeah.
uh, there was a stage that I've done radio work. It was just actually for fun. I just enjoyed it so much, and it was in my own time. And I think one of the most difficult things I've learned there was, you don't have an audience. It's nice when you stand, it's like us almost, we're talking to each other, but
Yeah.
when you stand in front of an audience and you're a speaker,
Yes.
you see, you can actually see the impact of what you're doing. But
Yeah.
when you do radio work or anywhere you can't see your audience, it takes
Mm,
a lot to just stick to it and to keep on playing the game, because you never know who you're touching. You never understand
yeah.
what you're doing, what change you're bringing. And it doesn't mean you're not bringing change if nobody picks up the phone to let you know. You know what? You said something that changed my life. You see,
Yes.
that consistency we must never lose in business, because you'll just one day we wake up and we see, wow, all those times we've just got to be ready for the good, for it to bring in more than what we expected.
Absolutely. What an absolute gem. Amazing. And I think that ties nicely into what we literally just spoke about of people will reveal gems. They will leave gems. Like, even though it can be wounded, collect those gems, hold them for a bit, have a moment, and then just be like, okay, okay. Because that will be like what you say, which is so important. It sounds so like obvious, but it really isn't. I think when you're trying to like navigate, is it something people want?
Yeah,
Because if it's not something people want, like at the end of the day, more than a business, people buy people. People
yeah,
invest in people.
yeah,
And of course, like, yeah, they're not just gonna buy someone that's not going to, do a quality product. But essentially, when you put your heart and your soul and you really believe in what you're delivering, it's always going to be of high quality anyway.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah, thank you for that. Absolutely amazing. I feel like I've asked you a lot of the things that I wanted to. Um, you spoke about leadership actually. How do you encourage leaders in your business?
Yeah. That is something that's developed over a period of time. We
Yeah.
sometimes have the wrong concept of leadership, and I think there's so many wrong examples, like you mentioned it before. Some is more dictatorship than what is leadership.
Yes.
And one of our mottos in our organization, we've got four, but one of it is servant leadership. So when you can understand that you lead actually to serve those that are looking up to you.
Mm,
So it kind of brings you to a place of patience,
yeah.
where a leader don't always have, I'm like that. If I want something done, I want it
Yeah.
now or
Yeah.
yesterday. But I have to understand that I am serving those who are following me.
Mm,
And that's why I keep going, because that they are, as a leader doesn't always get all the accolades. Yes, leaders might get paid, but leadership is so much more different. Leadership is when I really go and pick up
mm,
somebody, when I have that discernment to know that when somebody is messing around, to be firm,
mm-hmm. Yep.
or they woke up. I say so often, especially to our human resources department, that you need to understand the
Yeah.
moment before that person walked into the door this morning, he has no idea where they come from. We don't know the pain they might have faced during the
Yes.
night. So if a leader is insensitive to what other people are going through. And I'm not talking about sympathy and long sessions and because I believe we should understand and then we should tell people how important it is to
Yeah.
focus on your career, focus to make a success of your career. Because that's the one area that you have control over if your mind is right again. So leading rather by staying very focused, again, come back to this. We need to
Yeah.
invest into our leaders and make sure that there is a mind shift change. There's a shift
Beautiful.
because the
Beautiful.
moment the leader says something, I don't know if leaders really understand how much people look up to them. It is
Mm.
such a huge responsibility.
Yes.
I mentioned earlier today when somebody uh, came here in preparation for our podcast, I said, sometimes, it was laughingly and jokingly, I said, sometimes I just miss the days when, you can just literally disappear. Nobody wants to know where you are. You can just go and you can
Yes.
disappear. But as a leader, and the stronger leader you are, and the more people you have, the more people look up to you. And it
Absolutely.
is so profound for us to learn, what do I say? How
Mm.
do I say it? How am I hurting that person or
Yeah.
bringing them up? So leadership is something extremely important for me because young leaders, and we have a lot of young people and we love intern programs in our organization. We be
Mm.
getting the potential and developing leadership in that person. But we also need to be very careful that we do not give somebody too much.
Yes. This
As
is
a leader, we've
beautiful.
got to know you can't give this person more. And I've done it.
Mm.
I'm talking out of experience. You believe so much in somebody, and I have that nature that I feel I
Yeah.
rather see the beauty in people. But I learned on the hard way, in the hard way. Um, Somebody might not have been ready, and I
Yes.
promoted them, for
Yes.
instance, in leadership, and it harmed them. So
Mm.
leadership is phenomenally important, but it but we individually, if you're a business owner, if you are a leader at the moment, working on yourself is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Many people might think, you're selfish, you think about yourself, but it's not the truth. When
No.
I take care of myself, when I discipline my mind, when I don't sleep at night, working, not because
Mm.
I'm worried, but I mean, finding strategy, it doesn't make me
Mm.
a selfish person. It makes me a leader
Yes.
because everybody else is now looking up to you. So leadership is it's definitely not to be taken lightly.
Yeah.
Whenever we're on a leadership position, we need to understand the power that there is with it. It saddens me how people can actually abuse power of
Yes.
that's being given to them. So I always hope to find and have, and I'm very grateful for leaders that can actually know. I've got to have a mindset that strength is not to dominate. I don't have
Amazing.
to
Yeah.
dominate any person to be strong.
Yes.
I can
Yes.
please, strength must flow from us, and that person must feel safe to be able to go to the next level.
Amazing. And a big thing that I heard in you saying that, which I found, which about the not being pouring into yourself is not selfish. That was really something that I really, really on my self love journey took very seriously. And again, you're going to have contrasting views, but it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, what I hear and what I think is if we are not, and it's such a such a judgmental phrase of she's so full of herself. But you know what? I've learned, what else would I be full of? Because, and it's not in the way it's said. You
Yeah,
need to be so strong, so full of your values, your
yeah,
work, what you
yeah.
are doing, and it's not using that expression. But of course, I don't want to be full of what someone told me that about me that
Oh,
I don't recognize with. So what I heard from that, which I 100% value, is in order for me to outpour, for us to outpour, we need to be full.
Oh yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, we can't pour from an empty cup. So, I really appreciate that. And I love, because the other thing that I was picking up on, which I think is so important, and I'm really going to emphasize this to people listening, the importance of not someone telling you what to do, but watching someone who has walked that path, whether we want to call it a mentor. And that's what I heard from you in correct me if I'm wrong in what you're saying. We're not just forcing people into these positions. You are actively aware of the dynamics in your beautiful business, and you are recognizing it, but you also, like what you said, seeing when it's right for that person. Maybe they need a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. And I feel that's a really beautiful quality, whether we want to label it as that or not, of a mentor. And it's like, when we are connecting with people, we need to really recognize this. Do you see something in that? Obviously, I'm talking from an expansion perspective. Do you see something that in that person that you are aspiring to be? Because we always should be striving and connecting with people, and I'm not just talking generally, with people that we see our vision, who have walked that path, and that we can relate to, and have that incredible discussion, that conversation, and receive those gems. Because, for example, like what you said, people, okay, you feel, it's beautiful, and you had that press release, and you are being celebrated as the incredible woman you are, but it wasn't always that way. And that's what people need to really, really remember. Sometimes we focus on, which I love about the lead again, we focus on the shiny end result, which is never an end result, because we all face the exact growth and transformation that we need at the level we're at all the time. Whether that's someone just needs to learn how to answer the phone, and someone needs to be put on a stage to speak about their company. We're all at the different capacities that we're at. So I love that you said that, because it's really important. It's really important to recognize that, and just see the gems and what people in your life can show the way through their actions. Not standing there dictating, being the preacher. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about, remember, this is still a human who has gone on their journey. But remember, it wasn't always this. And this is why it's really important to listen to the woman behind the vision and the story, because you can relate at different points in your life that you're on. And remember that you will see that end result if you really believe in your vision and your dream. But there's a process, and you have to stick to that process, and know that there's a reason why that desire has been placed in your heart.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a little bit long-winded, but
No, that's so true. The process, you can't skip the process. And that is the sad part, where we find people sometimes not willing to go through the process. But they want what another successful person has. Don't understand the absolute price, and there's so many things that goes into it. The cost, because there's always a cost to everything.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely, and not just money.
No,
Yes,
that's not
yes.
money. I mean,
Yes.
when you're successful, you got to give up so many things that other people can really just do. You can't do it. You can't touch it, because you understand your responsibility as a leader. So, the cost in maybe not having like so many friends. Maybe your friends must become a little bit less, because you understand the impact it can have on your life and on your thinking, because that you value those people, and my people that work for me are extremely important. So there's a cost. you don't get anything. Like you would maybe not yearn for success. Um, you and maybe that's okay, but
Yeah.
there's a cost to that because you're not going to live the life of that successful person. It's the same with going. I'm just talking when you're doing. I thought now when you talk about the iron, I actually seem to even forget. Oh, the fact that a gym is full of iron. You
Yeah.
got to lift those iron. It's
Yeah.
iron we're lifting. It's not the light material that we lift and the body weight. And when we start to train to to look good, to be healthy, it doesn't fall, just out of the sky. It's something that
Yes.
you have to work for. It's something that we've got to make our mind up. Listen, I am not gonna grow old, ugly. I'm not going to be mean, but we have a choice. Am I
Yes.
going to pick up weight and forget about how important it is to look after this body? This body is so
Yes.
important because,
Absolutely.
especially when we're under stress,
Mm.
do we live a balanced lifestyle?
Yeah.
And it doesn't come, I believe, I don't know if it's just my default, but it's always like the opposite is always what the body wants to do. Oh,
Oh,
no, let's eat
yes.
what we do whatever
In
we
all
want.
aspects of life.
The default is always this thing. It's definitely not going to end so good. So it's always like you always have to tell yourself, I'm getting out of default mode. I'm making a choice.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
it,
yeah.
it's so worth it when
I hear you.
yeah. So
Wow. I obviously I already knew it was going to be so transformational. I just want to just before um we conclude, I just want to check and see if there's any messages in the chat or if there's anyone here that wants to ask a question. Um, we have a little bit of time, but if not, I just want to really say thank you and honor you, and I know that this is only the beginning of so much more because we only just keep rising. We keep rising and rising and rising. No capping. Like what you said, we're not just talking about a business here. We're talking about all areas of life. Because I think there's this like we should have to compromise. No, we don't. Because all
mm-mm.
is mind.
Yeah.
So I really love that we've really talked about in having that strong mind. That is why you see this incredible woman in front of us today who is not just speaking the talk. She is the embodiment of what she is saying. And you can see that. You can see that. You can hear that in all that she's doing. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so,
Thank
so
you so much.
much.
Thank you so much, Shel. It was wonderful to be with you, and just to also learn from you. I'm grateful that our paths crossed, and I
Oh.
can see a lot more coming from you.
Absolutely, absolutely. You are an absolute gem, and I can't see anybody popping up yet, but I'm sure if anyone has any questions, they will reach out. And I'm so excited for everybody to see this. What I already knew was going to be such a transformational conversation. So I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. I appreciate Jane. I can see Jane is present. She is again another absolute gem.
Yeah.
Like attracts like, and I'm really honored to have met you, and I'm really excited to follow you and all that you're creating, and much, much more beyond just your incredible organization, which
Thank
is
you so much.
amazing.
Thank you so
You
much.
are so welcome. Thank you so much.
Have a stunning time. We will touch base soon. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay.